Joining us now, longtime political strategist Paul Begala. He's author of the new book titled You're Fired, The Perfect Guide to Beating Donald Trump. Paul, good morning. It's great to see you. Welcome over to the other side with us on MSNBC. We're happy to snatch you while you've got a book out. So walk us through this guide. It seems for Joe Biden, the guide has been to sort of lay low and let Donald Trump go out and talk on television every day. What recommendations do you make to Joe Biden and to Democrats trying to defeat Donald Trump?
Well, I think first, thanks. It's great to see you again. It's great to be on with you. Thank you for having me. It's very gracious. I think that I start the book by saying what I got wrong in 2016, because I've got to show my own personal responsibility and show what I've learned. What I learned is, I think Jack Palance, the guy in City Slickers, the cowboy in City Slickers, he'd have been a much better strategist than me in 2016. Remember in that he says to Billy Crystal, the main thing is to always keep the main thing the main thing. Well, the main thing should be voters. And Trump is so distracting. I know he's the president. He's terrible. And people like me hate him, my party line. When we take our eyes off what's happening in voters' lives, those folks in Missouri want health care. Missouri is one of the reddest states on the map. Yesterday, they voted to expand Medicaid as part of Obamacare. So something's going on out there. And people like me, when we only focus on Trump and his sewer level character, it distracts us actually from making an effect on people's lives. You know, we have 160,000 dead from COVID, in part because this man can't do his job. We have 71,000 dead last year from drug addiction. We have 38,000 dead because of gun violence. We have millions of people out of work. Democrats have got to focus on voters more and on Trump less. I'd say Joe's doing that. Joe has really actually retooled his campaign. He's given in thoughtful speeches about rebuilding the economy. He called it Build Back Better, focused on that kind of middle class populism that I like to advocate. So actually, I think he's doing quite a good job. And his empathy matches up perfectly against Trump's narcissism.
So, Paul, where are the traps for Democrats? Where should they be cautious? Because if you look at polling, obviously, Joe Biden has a lead. He has a lead in all these battleground states that we talk about every single day, the states that flipped from Obama to Trump in many cases and earned him the election, gave him the victory there. So if you are on the Biden campaign or you are a Democrat trying to fight the idea of complacency, where should you be focused right now?
Well, obviously, everything is COVID. COVID has radically altered the political landscape. And on that, Biden has some real credibility because he helped pass Obamacare. Remember, he said it was a big deal. But I do think Democrats can't turn loose of the economy either. That COVID and the economy have come together, healthcare and the economy. And I liked Biden's speech about Build Back Better. I also, though, want Democrats to embrace national service. You know, we've got 42 million young people between the ages of 20 and 30. I bet half of them are probably out of work right now. We've got 75,000 in AmeriCorps, and that's great. I worked for Bill Clinton. He created AmeriCorps. But I think it ought to go to 1 million. Chris Coons, who has a senator who's got Joe Biden's old seat, he thinks so, too. So I think that this is a time for particularly Vice President Biden to focus on the economy and really focus on young people and people of color who've been really left out, even when times were better, but are just getting hammered right now. So I think that should be the focus. Keep it on the economy. The other thing that Democrats are rightly worried about and focused on, voter suppression, election manipulation, the kinds of things that an autocrat does when he thinks he's going to lose. And we saw this in 2018 with Stacey Abrams in Georgia, where tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Georgians were disenfranchised, and she lost the race by about 2%.
Hey, Paul, it's Casey Hunt. I want to pick up on something that second to last point you made about energizing young people and bringing new constituencies in. We're obviously watching for the vice president this week, next week. Yeah. What do you think that pick? What should he do with that pick to try and maximize his chances of winning?
Yeah, I always get these things wrong because I think like a political strategist. Biden's had the job. And so I know this. I haven't talked to Joe, but I've talked to people very close to him. He wants, it's two things. First, God forbid something happens who could take over. Second, God willing, if I remain healthy, who do I want to be a governing partner? I think that is the right metric for him. Now, as a political strategist, yeah, I think it's great that he's focused on women. I think it's terrific that these women of color have emerged as the leading contenders. I have no inside knowledge. I think that this is what's great about diversity. This is what's great when at least Democratic Party throws open the doors of opportunity. You get more talent. When you widen the range of draft choices, you get more talent. I mean, you know, I'm from Houston. The Houston Rockets years ago drafted a guy named Yao Ming from China. When I was a kid, there weren't any NBA players from China. So the more you open the talent pool, the more talent you get. And so I just think it's terrific. I do hope, I know Joe's going to pick a woman, and I hope it's one of these leading candidates we hear about, because I think that Democrats will respond to that very energetically.
Paul, Eddie Glodd's got a question for you. Eddie?
Yes, sir.
So, Paul, we see in Missouri that in St. Louis that just as Democrats and Chris Bush has just won. She just an extraordinary upset in so many ways of Congressman Lacey. And we know that there's been this tension within the party over the last few years, the progressive wing, and of course we might describe it as Clinton, as the Clintonism, as you might describe. In your assessment of what we need to beat Trump, how do you navigate the internal divisions within the party as some folk clamor for a different way of thinking about how we get out of this mess that we're currently in?
Well, first, Professor, it's great to see you again. Nothing unites the people of Earth like a threat from Mars. Okay, Trump's from Mars, and so he has united the Democrats. It's hard to do. You know, this is why Democrats make better president, because people like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton in my day, they have to unite a broad, diverse, multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-gender coalition. Republicans just have to kind of unite the white and the whiter, and the old and the older, and, you know, the male and the maler. So that makes Democrats better presidents. Right now, I will say this, as somebody proudly from the Clinton wing and the more moderate wing, I suppose one might say, I've been so impressed with how the left has united the party behind Joe Biden. They could have taken their marbles and walked home, and too many did in 2016. But what we have seen now is a coalescence that has just been terrific. It's been wonderful. They've come together. I now only have to do can only do virtual campaigning. But when I do that, I see, you know, young, progressive Justice Democrats working side by side with us old white guys, all in common cause. This is a coalition right now. The Democrats have a coalition that goes from 4-star generals to Black Lives Matter. And by God, that's America. And I love it. But I have to give tremendous credit to the left for unifying behind someone who was not their first choice. Let's face it.
Paul Begala, who helped run the 1992 Clinton campaign and put Bill Clinton into the White House, and of course worked for the president there. Also the author of the new book titled You're Fired, The Perfect Guide to Beating Donald Trump. Paul Begala, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Willie. Great to see you, too.
All right, Paul.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.